And now, coming to you live from an undisclosed location somewhere in the Ozark Mountains, it's Spooky Talk Show with Josh the Devil. And now, here he is, Josh the Devil.
Hey, that's right, it's Spooky Talk Show with me, Josh. Oh, we have got such a good show for you guys tonight. I'm so excited. I'm going to breeze right through most of that blah, blah, blah stuff that I'm always yakking about all that Patreon and Teespring crap, because we got a really good interview, and it's a little longer than most, but that's because it's really good. That's right, I couldn't find anything to cut out of it. So we're going to jump over to camera 2, that's right, and we're going to pull up the first joke, because it's Joe Biden. Well, Joe has cinched the Democratic Party's nomination for president after his latest delegate haul. When reached for comment, former Vice President Biden said he was proud the party's going in the general election as a united party. And whoever this Joe Biden guy is has his endorsement. What else? Well, LA Galaxy midfielder Alexander Katai, I know I'm not saying that right, was released Friday after his wife made what were deemed racist and violent tweets directed at people engaging in protests stemming from the death of George Floyd. Yoko Ono called to say she was really impressed with how badly she screwed up her husband's career. You can boo Yoko Ono, that's fine. I don't mind that a bit. American Navy veteran Michael White has been released after almost 2 years in Iranian custody for insulting their supreme leader. Now, as part of the deal, the U.S. agreed to release Iranian-American Dr. Mahid Tahiri, imprisoned for violating U.S. sanctions against Iran. And we're not supposed to pull any more of that Argo shit. Argo, that was an Argo joke. You like that? We're on the cutting edge of Ben Affleck jokes with Argo. It's a no-go. French forces have killed Abdelmalek Drokel. Sure, of course, that's exactly how it's pronounced. The leader of Al-Qaeda's affiliate in Northern Africa. Killed by the French? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to cost you at least a few virgins in the afterlife. Because that's what, yeah. Spanish porn star Nacho Vidal is under investigation for manslaughter. Slaughtered a man? Well, a man died during a ceremony that involved inhaling the vapors from toad venom that were meant to cause hallucinogenic effects. I can't think of a joke to make that one any better at all, so we'll just move right along. Because finally, well, Joe Exotic's back with us. Joe, you're looking good. Joe's asking President Trump for a pardon for his murder-for-hire plot to kill that bitch, Carol Baskin. His legal team drove a bus through Washington, D.C. with a big rap on both sides and said, "President Trump, please pardon Joe Exotic." Well, Exotic's own zoo employees said he shouldn't be released, meaning his legal team makes up the only loyal employees that he has left. Yeah. Yeah, you see what happens when you actually pay your employees, Joe? Also, Joe Biden has endorsed him for president. Oh, I don't know what to tell you there. Well, I just can't wait anymore. We're going to get right down to it. Our interview tonight is with none other than Oddheader. That's right, the YouTuber who spends all of his time digging deep, really deep into those video games, trying to find the weirdest stuff that you were never meant to see. Some of the stuff is cool, some of the stuff is kind of raunchy, but tonight we're going to be talking about the creepiest, the spookiest, the scariest stuff that he's ever found in video games. So, Randall, are you there? Can you hear me okay?
I'm here.
Hey, fantastic. Hey, first, let me just say thanks for doing our little silly show. It's nice when someone immediately replies back and says, "Hey, yeah, that looks like a cool show. That sounds fun." And then immediately here we are. So thank you again.
Thanks for having me on.
And let's get down to it. Okay. Now, your channel pretty much focuses on the weirdest shit going on in video games. And we're not talking about what's right up front. Although sometimes things are just kind of right out in the open, and you just have to wander around and notice it. But we're talking mostly about the stuff that's not easy to find. You've got to really go through some hard things. We're talking Easter eggs. We're talking busting your way out of bounds. We're talking using camera modes to go into, to look through textures. We're talking about combing through code and files just to find something that looks odd. And I love that. And so we've got a list of some of your most weirdest, in my opinion, most creepiest, strangest, most spookiest, if you will, clips. But before we get into those, we are going to do some kind of standard talk show jibber jabber back and forth, because that's just how we roll. So I've got to ask, how did you get into this? Was there an original Easter egg or a secret that maybe you heard about or you found accidentally that kind of got you into this? Give us the story.
Well, I go way, way back with Easter eggs. First time I got on the internet when I was like 9, I don't know how, but like the first website I got onto was eeggs.com, which is still up. It's pretty much defunct. I think the last Easter egg they added was like 3 years ago, but it was basically like an Easter egg database, and immediately I was obsessed. I think the first Easter egg I personally found was actually in Sly Cooper, the original, and all it was I found, I can't even remember his name, but the Rocket character from Rocket Robot on Wheels, that was their previous game.
Yeah.
He was like hidden in the graffiti. So really unexciting Easter egg. That was the first one I found and put it on the internet. Nobody said they found it before.
Oh, well, no, that's pretty cool. If nobody's, I mean, it seems like a little thing, but if you get on and nobody's found it, that makes it a big deal. So
I was pretty proud at the time, for sure. I think, with what I cover now, it's kind of low on the scale of shocking. But it was definitely a proud moment. And then I was also part of the Easter egg hunt for Meg, which was a big Easter egg hunt in the original Halo, which was like a secret room that was dedicated to the developer's wife. And it was like, you look on the ceiling and there was like a bloody heart and there's bullets in the ceiling that spelled out the letter M, which was like, I think, a marriage proposal. So that was the first one that I really like. I don't know. Halo kind of like sparked my whole love for hunting for Easter eggs. That's like what really made me adamant about it. So being one of the original people that found that's probably what really sparked like my whole like, I really want to document Easter eggs now, and because it got so popular, and it was really the popularity out of what I found for Halo that I was like, okay, so people are into this. People really like this. I want to do this more. So
Halo.
Yeah, I think that was really the first one that I can think of. Yeah,
that's a good one. That's one I've heard about but never seen. So I'm gonna have to go check that one out.
Yeah, it's another one that's probably not super exciting.
But that's got, if it's got a good story behind it,
Yeah, it does.
That makes it interesting. That's all that matters a lot of times. Okay, well, is there a specific? Now you take a lot of requests. You have an amazing community of egg hunters and just people with a lot of free time, especially now. And you've got multiple ways for them to contact you. And so, it's really common to see, hey, thanks to the heads up from somebody in my Discord about this. Or I'll see things where you're like, well, let's see, Final Fantasy VII. Who's the expert on Final Fantasy VII? Oh, somebody in my Discord. I'll just ask them. And then, and so that's a nice community to have. So is there something that people have been asking for more than anything else? Is there kind of a most requested pattern that you see showing up in your inbox?
There's kind of like 3 that come to mind. One is this really strange sound in A Hat in Time. It's like you wait in one of the rooms for, I think, like 20 minutes, and then you hear like this huge, ominous, booming sound. And the thing about that one is that mystery actually goes really deep. There's other clues in the room where that sound plays, where it like ties into like videos on the internet and other conspiracies. It goes really long. So I'm kind of like looking just for the platform to like really go into that one. That's the only reason I haven't covered that one. Um, Other ones, like really obviously, would be like Mount Chiliad in Grand Theft Auto 5. There's, I actually think. Oh, sorry, I don't know if you hear that. There's like some really loud sirens going
That's
on.
okay. That's okay.
Um, I actually think there's some validity to that one, even though for the most part it's a myth. But I've gotten so many theories and discoveries and connections to the Mount Chiliad mystery that I do think I am going to eventually do like a one-off video just kind of exploring every single connection that's ever been found with it. Because there really is some crazy stuff that really made me reconsider it being real. Though a lot of it is probably ultimately Rockstar trolling.
I was going to say, Rockstar, we all kind of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit with some of the previous GTA games where people were so desperate to find things like Bigfoot, that, clearly the Rockstar team noticed that and they were like, well, we could just rumor something and they'll spend years searching for it. And if we even drop the tiniest clue, then that will even further fuel. So, but then at the same time, they do hide a ton of crap in there, and then updates will maybe change those things. So they've got us. We have no choice. We have to assume everything could be real with Rockstar. It also everything could be fake. So
yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like they're probably just hanging the carrot out there, especially seeing as GTA 6 probably is going to be a long time from now. So anyway, they can invest more people into Grand Theft Auto 5. But yeah, I was just sent something the other day. Like, if you like go around the corner from where the mural is, there's like a spider web that appears only like between 1 to 2 in the morning in the game.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like really weird how it's textured. It doesn't look like a normal spider web. It's like, I don't know. I can't even explain it. I'll have to go into that one more. But there's just so many things connected to it I've never even heard of that I'm sent all the time. That makes me really think, maybe there is something here that's not found yet. So.
Interesting. All right, the spider web. That's a new one. I hadn't heard that. So I mean, with just that short window of time, I mean, what are the odds, right?
Oh, and it's like it's like an enormous spider web, and then like. You go around the corner again, and there's a door, and it has the same texture for the spider web on the door. So yeah, there's so many connections, and it goes really deep. And then the third thing I probably get asked the most about is the secret zoo level in Accounting Plus. That's
okay. Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. Say that one more time. There's the
secret zoo level in Accounting Plus.
Okay.
And that one's actually really hard to tell if that's legit or not. That game's made by one of the creators, Rick and Morty, and apparently it's like a big joke in the game that there's a secret zoo level. So a lot of people just think it's fake, but I get submitted it probably every week, and there's a lot of evidence for the level being there. They found assets for like animals and all these things.
Oh, wow.
And the developers have said, like, yeah, there is definitely something to be found. Like, they're swearing up and down, like, every month they're like, we're not trolling. But, I mean, how are you going to buy the Rick and Morty creators, anything that they say?
They kind of shot themselves in the foot. If they tell us it's in there now, we're like, yeah, you're probably just making that up to mess with us. So, yeah, all right.
So that's a hard one for me because it's like, it seems so much like a troll, but there's so much evidence, again, that makes me, reconsider.
I mean, if you can find assets, that's a pretty good indication you should move forward. I mean, that you're either like, well, they either put these here for us to find just as a joke, or it's really there somewhere.
Yeah, that's what people think. Did they really go out of their way just to put fake assets in the game?
Yeah.
Because it's totally something they would do.
Yeah, exactly. It's 50-50. Could be true. All right. Okay, so next question. What about the number one or even couple of things that people request or that you hear about that are just honestly probably not true? That may still have a big base of believers, but at this point, probably not true. Have you got anything that comes to mind?
I'm trying to think if there's anything. Okay, yeah. The freezer and in Saints Row 2, or even actually, I think a better story is the Merman in Saints Row 2 because I actually fell for that one. Or no, that was in. I think actually they're both in Saints Row 1. So
The
there's been a lot of
Merman.
Saints Row. But the freezer in Saints Row is like you go out of bounds in a certain area and like this giant guy, like a shadowy figure, appears in the background, and when you see him he freezes your game, and then he'll like scratch your Xbox disc, and yeah, you'll never be. Yeah, so there is actually truth to that, like that does happen, but there's a clear explanation for it. It's just like like a shadow texture to a pedestrian accidentally loading in. And then the reason your Xbox disc is scratching is because you're playing it on an Xbox 360, which is already prone to scratching your disc if anything goes wrong. You know, I
Gotcha,
don't know
yeah.
how many games I had scratched on my Xbox 360, and just the slightest nudge or, you know, anything.
That's true. That's true. Well,
And then the
one
Merman,
that one sounds like, I mean, that sounds like the plot of a Japanese horror film. So I can
Yeah, like the
understand. Yeah, I can understand why people would want to believe that. Like if you play this game and you see this character, you have 7 days and your Xbox dies. You know, so
yeah, it's definitely a fun one, and I mean, it's truthful enough. Like you can find it, you can make it crash your game, but you know, there's just so much speculation around it that it's just like you guys are looking way too much into this. And then the Merman one is that was Saints Row 1 too. That was only in the demo for the game, which was like only available on this certain copy from the official Xbox magazine, which I ordered just to check this out. And then I wasted all my time looking into this. It was like you went out of bounds, and then there was like this wall out of bounds, like near the beach. And if you went by the wall, you would hear merman sounds. Like you would hear like a moaning, like a really, you know, it was some sort of creature. And
I
you
was
would,
gonna
like,
ask. I was gonna ask, what does a merman sound like?
it was like a something like that, you know, like kind of
Okay.
like a whale sound. And then there was like splashing clipping through the other side of the wall. So everybody's like, there's clearly something behind this. So I played this game for hours. It took me forever to get out of bounds just to the spot. And then like the wall where this thing was supposed to be behind, because you're out of bounds, you know, I could see through the wall, like it would unload. And I could see clearly that it was just a pedestrian swimming on the other side of the wall.
Oh.
Like he like fell from where he was supposed to load in because there's supposed to be a bridge over top of him, but that also unloaded. So it's just a pedestrian who fell into the water. And then as far as the sound effect, that is completely faked by the YouTuber that originally uploaded it.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Total hoax.
I've been meaning to call this dude out actually.
Oh, that's a lot of wasted
hours of
time.
my time, man.
Yeah.
So
It
that's
is-
actually one of the most disappointing ones that is like absolutely fake.
Oh, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. Okay, now before we get into some specific clips that really caught my attention, the last question I was going to ask is about one of your videos is the 10 craziest out of bounds discoveries part 2, and I couldn't help but notice the count on it is almost twice. You got about double the views on that one. It's almost at it's like 9 million, you know, so it's considerably more than your second most popular view. Is there one or more of those 10 things that are really that special that you think really drew in all those people?
The one entry out of that video that I always thought probably brought in the most appeal was the ghost girl of Glitch City
Yes.
from Yeah, from the Pokemon game. I thought that one, anything Pokemon's kind of always going to be a phenomenon. And that was something that I don't think was ever truly covered before. That was something that was submitted to me, and I think I even said in the video I thought it was a troll, but sure enough, there was that creepy NPC out of bounds. Yeah, and just to briefly explain, it was like you had to hack the game so you could get far out of bounds, and then you enter this area called Glitch City by the fans, which is really nothing more than garbage data loading in randomly on the Game Boy. But sure enough, you went far enough out in this area, and you would find this ghost NPC that doesn't exist anywhere else in the game, and then she would battle you, and then what I just thought was the coolest thing in the world is then she would, like, after you beat her, she would load you into this other room where you hear a telephone ring, and then the game crashed, which was just the perfect opportunity for me to set up that sketch where I could act like my phone was ringing and it was like, a moment from the ring.
Yeah.
I just think that was a really fun moment for a lot of people that drew in a lot of audience, a lot of the Pokemon fan base who'd never heard of that. And I got to kind of stage it in a fun way. But I also think that whole video was like one of the first videos to really like get recommended well in the system, and it really had like all original content in it. So I think most of the people who saw that video for the first time, they're like, oh wow, this is all new stuff I never heard of. Whereas a lot of these videos that are recommended on YouTube, they tend to rehash a lot of the things. So
yeah,
I think
it's
that
somebody
video,
else's point of view of the same video or the same discovery. So yeah.
So I think that video is very striking to people when it had a lot of things that nobody had really ever heard of before. Especially the Ghost Girl of Ghost City. I think that was the one that really made it explode.
I'm a big follower of all the Ghost Girl instances. She turns up, theoretically, if it's the same Ghost Girl, then she's all over the place in multiple games, telling you secrets, and that's a fantastic story. And again, even if it's just us putting things together because we want it, it's still fascinating.
I think that's how it started. It's definitely become kind of a theme on the channel of me covering all the Ghost Girls. From what I know now, I think Pokemon's actually trying to capitalize it on a little bit.
I can't see why not. Yeah,
game had a Ghost Girl, and it was a little too easy to find, and it wasn't even that scary. So
they're not even trying.
Yeah.
They did better when they weren't trying.
Exactly. Yeah. It's always more fun when it was like, this truly was not meant to be here.
Well, let's talk about a few things that in my mind are some of the spookiest stuff from your channel. Let's start with what could be, if we really, want to believe it, an instance of AI, of real AI in a video game. We're talking about Shadow of Mordor, when one player had a character from a saved game, which he deleted, come through into a new game out of place and wreak some havoc. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that one is one of my favorite ones as well. So basically, this guy was playing his game, Shadow of Mordor, pretty far into the game. He had leveled up quite extensively, and there's another character in the game named Bruce. Am I getting that right? Is it Bruce or is it Brutus? I'm pretty sure it's Bruce. And in the game, you can basically torture the hell out of that AI, and the more you do so, the more the relationship changes, the more angry he gets at you, because he is the enemy character. He betrays you. He starts as your friend, but then he's your villain. And this guy just continued to torture the hell out of him to the point where he went on a rampage, really wanted to annihilate him, became like a super leveled up AI, and then he was like, I want to start a new game. I think he wanted to stream it from the beginning for his friends. So he started this new save game, and I think he's only on like the training mission right at the beginning of the game. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, this enemy AI, the same exact Bruce that he's been torturing this entire time, comes rampaging through his new save game when he should have been deleted in the last game. And what's particularly odd, and something I don't think I'll ever understand about it, is normally Bruce has like the human dialogue. You know, he speaks English, but in the new save game, he came in and he had like all these strange groans and animal sounds. I don't know how that happened. That's just so strange. And at that point, you know, he's a new save game, so he's like a level 1, and Bruce is still level 50 from the last game. So I think at that point, you know, well, I thought I was going to say maybe he was stuck, but no, he actually did manage to escape him. I think he ran away from him, and then he looked on the game world map and saw that he was chilling out of bounds somewhere, just waiting for him.
Right. That I found creepy as well. It's like he escaped, and so he was like, well, let's see, what should I do now? I'll go and hide and wait. And he went out where he shouldn't have been anyway. I mean, that the whole story. Guys, go check that one out.
That was going to be chill just thinking about it. Like, this AI gained so much consciousness, he knew how to break the game even.
Right. Even if it
spot out of bounds to hide.
Even if it cost him his voice, he was coming through. He was coming through. No pre-programmed dialogue matched what he wanted to say, and so he grunted and groaned. I mean, it's
truly a story of, like, you know, you always get like these cautionary tales, like, be nice to your AI, you know, don't swear at Siri, because one day, you know, we'll be answering to her. And exactly, in this story, this guy was torturing this AI, and then, you know, it came back to haunt him. It's truly creepy.
So bizarre. Yeah. Okay, we're going to jump over to you know, sometimes these, you know, you're not looking for something and then you find something, and that seemed to be the case on Tower Unite, when a strange, just blank billboard was kind of found out of bounds. You know, and hey, a blank billboard, what, you know, it's not even very big. It's just sitting there. It almost looks like a chalkboard, just kind of sitting there it's out of place, but it was something different. Now, this hasn't been 100% confirmed because no one's been able to replicate this since, although it has been confirmed that the billboard or little bulletin board thing is there. Tell us a little bit about what happened when in that instance there, because we're talking about a putt-putt golf game, essentially. We're talking about a mini golf game.
Yes.
That's we're not talking about a very strange mini golf game. I love mini golf games. You know, hey, you get bored, you go out of bounds, but this was different. Give us the rundown on the Tower Unite deal.
So this one, I think it started as a video that was randomly uploaded to YouTube, where a guy showed how you could clip out of bounds again using this glitch that was definitely proven to have worked. And then he got out of bounds in this certain spot in the hub area, and sitting out of bounds was just this mysterious billboard just sitting there. And when he interacted on that billboard, it was blank, it didn't have anything on it. It took him to this creepy, like, completely new area. It loaded him to this. It actually took a while to load. I cut that out of the video. I just cut right to the.
Nobody wants to watch the load, but yeah.
And then the next area was like this bloody hallway, and he traveled all the way down it, and I believe it looked like there was like a hanging figure in one of the rooms or something. Then his capture card crashed. That's essentially what the mystery was, because he didn't have any more footage after that. And then people tried to replicate it, and they could get out of bounds, but they couldn't find the billboard. But then people on the forums started submitting pictures of they did actually see the billboard sitting out of bounds, you know, several times. Like, you could just apparently get high enough in the game world to look down in that spot, and you could see the billboard was sitting there. So, you know, it put up a lot of mystery. Though I do kind of have some answers to some of that. Because an official did actually come forward on that one.
Really?
Yeah, and he was like an admin for the server, and he admitted that he was the one that was placing the billboard there. And it was apparently going to be a part of an alternate reality game. It was going to lead up to like a film or something. I think they were going to put out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was definitely something he was working with the developers to promote like some sort of like, you know, some sort of game or something. A lot of it's unclear because I guess it got canned. But what I really don't understand is I'm continuing to get things submitted from Tower Unite all the time, like new discoveries, that seem to be directly tied to that mystery. So I'm not sure. I think the developers are maybe trying to keep it alive, or maybe it's still going.
Or maybe there's a lot more of that world in there. We just need to find it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's even like there's also an out of bounds tunnel with like this door, and they can't figure out how to open the door, and that door looks really creepy and weird. And then I was just sent like this like spider monster creature thing that's apparently in the files of the game. So I've been meaning to talk about that soon.
okay.
Yeah. So
Again,
like you said,
in a
putt-putt
mini golf,
game.
it's a putt-putt golf game. Spider monster. That. Okay. Well, I mean.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Well. All right, so let's lead that into a couple of things that just seem out of place, particularly for the game that they're in. We've got this odd picture. I'm going to see if I can put it up right here from Sarges Heroes. Now, again, as you brought out, how in the hell this kid found this at 4 years old, and then what he must have thought about it at 4 years old. I mean, I believe that it did stick with him until he was older and had to go look and find it, because that is the creepiest thing ever. Do we know anything about this head? I mean, I mean, clearly, I mean, there's no real big, he just climbs, goes under a fence, and then there it is. If you knew where to go or you just found it at random, bam, there it is. But what in the hell is this? Have we uncovered anything? Like, do we know maybe what the texture is called or anything?
So yeah, I actually do have some more answers for this. I don't think we have any answer for the photo itself. Like, the photo itself is a mystery. But a developer actually did come forward to me, and he tried to give some explanation. And he said that the original game, when they were building it, for all of the prototype textures, they would use just photos of all kinds of random things. So he said the entire game is actually held up by all these invisible assets. He said every invisible wall is actually some sort of asset that they built as a joke, and then they just turned off the textures. So he said what was found there was actually a leftover texture that they forgot to take off. So that was truly something that wasn't meant to be found. But he said he has no idea who the picture is, and he has no idea what's going on in that photo. So,
it's the more I look at it, the less I want to look at it, but I can't look away. Okay. And then another one that I wish we had a little bit more on is Race with Ryan, which is a kids game based on the Ryan's World series, which we're talking little kids. My kids are way past that. It's the stupidest thing in the world to them. And which made them think this was hilarious, because there's a texture of Ryan that can be found. I'm going to try and put it up right here. That is clearly Ryan, and he's dead. That's clearly what we're looking at, right? It's just his face, but clearly there's a texture where it would wrap around and Ryan would be dead. I guess presumably from a car crash, but dead Ryan. So do you have any other information on this one, or can we just assume it was just a joke between developers?
So I do actually have more answers again for this one. So originally there was a theory going around, a rumor that there was a cut haunted house level, and that was the texture that they were going to use for that, which is a really good theory.
That makes a lot of sense. Sure.
Really good theory. But then the developers actually apparently did make a statement about it. And all they said is that the guy that was responsible for that texture no longer works with the company.
That sends a pretty clear message. I think we can assume what happened there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and they said like he was let go like 6 months before the game even came out. So they said they weren't going to be able to answer that one.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that one is definitely a mystery.
Okay. Now this one is. I'm an audio guy. I worked as an audio engineer for years, and I even did audio forensics for about a decade, where people would bring me micro cassettes and things that were in people's purses or hidden in an air conditioner, and they'd have me denoise. And so I spent a lot of time just looking at audio and just analyzing and finding weird things, and I'm fully aware, and I hope most people are, of audio matrixing, where when you hear some white noise or some things, your brain tries to make sense of it. And so sometimes you'll hear something that really isn't there. Maybe you just hear, it sounds like people are talking. No, it's just white noise. Your brain wants it to be there, so it kind of tries to fill in the gaps. We're not talking about anything like that. These are, honest to God, weird audio gremlins or something. So the first one, NBA Jams. Now, I'm familiar with NBA Jams. I've played a couple of the different versions. I don't know that I ever played a real NBA Jams cabinet, and we are talking about an actual arcade cabinet. And I think just about every time I find an NBA Jams, it's the Championship Edition, which is the same problem you ran into. Whether it was because that was a really popular upgrade. If you had it, you could just convert your cab to that. And this one's tricky, but we do have confirmation. Give us a little bit of the story behind the Petrovic audio clip.
Yeah, so Petrovic, he was a player, and he was featured in NBA Jam. I believe he died in a car accident in like 93.
Yeah, 93.
And it wasn't until that had happened that people start reporting that the cabinet started randomly repeating his name, Petrovic, 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 over and over, just at completely random times in the game.
Right, and we're talking about because the announcers there would be audio files for all of the players' names, and so as you were playing, if you were playing as Petrovic or if Petrovic made a shot, they would yell Petrovic, it's out, doing something, but it wouldn't be just the name; it would be the first word of a sentence. So that's pretty.
So very strangely, it was just Petrovic over and over and over, and then the developer did come out in a ESPN article, and he said that did happen. It was definitely a glitch, he said, of some sort. So that's really our only explanation, is that it is a glitch. But why did it happen only after he passed? That's truly something I don't think could be explained. It's just too eerie of a coincidence.
Right. It had to be his name, and he was literally the only dead player, and it didn't happen until after he died. Yeah,
it was the only player that got glitched, and it would repeat his name of all the players. It definitely felt very haunted.
Very spooky.
Yeah.
And
that's definitely one of the closest things where I'm like, I think that's a haunted arcade machine, truly.
Well, hey, hats off to Petrovic, wherever he may be, because if he is haunting every NBA Jams cab around, that's got to be a chore. Hats off to you, my friend. Okay, and then here was the other thing that really caught my attention as an audio nerd. Borderlands on Steam. You open Borderlands. You know what? I'm gonna go grab a drink. Let me just minimize and or maybe I'll look up a cheat or look up a walkthrough real quick. Let me just minimize it and do something, come back a few minutes later, and the weirdest thing in the world has happened. Randall, tell us about this.
Yeah, so you minimize the game, and then you would hear this really strange animal cry, animal moaning. I don't know if you saw the follow-up video. There's another video too where I reapproached it, and somebody even sped the audio up, and it was definitely an animal shrieking of some sort.
Well, and one of the people said that, or one of the things they were saying, it's the sample rate changed because it was minimized. Immediately, I raised my hand and said, no, my BS meter is going off. That's not going to happen. I mean, is it theoretically possible? Yeah, I guess, but it's. No other application does that. If it was a random application, like a standalone piece of software that you had minimized, maybe. But this is Steam. Yeah. We're talking about, anything that's using your sound card, even if you minimize it, it's not going to change sample rates of something playing live. Yeah, we would have seen that happen a lot. We would have seen that happen over the years. It wouldn't be just this one all of a sudden, and only creepy shit. Right?
Well, yeah, what's weird too is I've been submitted like at least 3 or 4 other games where apparently a similar thing happens where if you minimize the game, you suddenly hear this audio that doesn't appear to appear anywhere else in the game. Which I think the only thing I can maybe theorize realistically is maybe like an ambient layer track or something is being queued, but it's always unused audio, which I don't understand. Like somebody just submitted me in one of the Call of Duties, you minimize the game and you start to hear whispering. I'm like, there's not even whispering anywhere else. Like,
Yeah, that's not in the
of all the
game,
things,
so
I don't understand. I feel like it's a new form of Easter egg or something, hiding like some sort of audio track that gets executed when you minimize. I have no clue. And then what you said
Yeah.
about the sample rate change, that was the official explanation given by Randy Pitchford himself, the head of Gearbox. So, and he had some controversies last year regarding some, like, he made some tweets defending like animal abuse. I don't know what really happened. It was weird stuff. But like
that
many
yeah that
people-
doesn't sit well with then animal moaning sounds suddenly coming
Yeah.
out of your computer.
many people thought he was definitely trying to distance himself from clearly animal shrieking in the game. I mean, there's no question that's what it was. And I mean, the other sound effects that you find from minimizing these games, they don't sound slowed down. We didn't have to manipulate the audio for any of those. Like,
Right,
The
there was
whis-
a speech. Somebody captured
yeah.
like a speech, and we're talking about even assets that are not part of a game that these people even own. We're talking about assets from
Right.
games that they don't have, that they didn't buy or download.
Right. Many people often say, they're like, oh, they just had Amnesia installed or whatever, and it was just playing the sound files from those games. But I always say, like, the big part of the mystery is they never own those games. And like that presidential speech that you mentioned, nobody knows what that would even be from.
Right.
That's
Where?
not
What
from a
game is
at
that
all.
from? Yeah.
Yeah.
So bizarre. So bizarre. And Amnesia of all. If this was a normal thing, then why is it only the creepiest assets we're hearing?
Right.
Why are we not hearing SpongeBob game assets suddenly coming
Right,
out,
true.
or Sims, or things from just standard games that,
Right.
simulator games? We're not hearing any of that. Nope. Just the creepiest of the creepy games are sending their assets to you. Is it a
Right.
subliminal marketing tool? Or you hear those sounds from Amnesia, and then you go and buy Amnesia? Is that maybe that's the new marketing thing or something?
Perhaps. I mean, and also like Amnesia, it's got to have like thousands of audio files in it, and it only plays like the 3 or 4 creepiest ones. You know what I mean?
Right. It could have played any of it. Massive library of sounds. Let's see this
Yeah.
one. Yeah,
It could just be a
Shriek.
sound of
Yeah.
like a knock or footsteps or something like that. Just some average sound in the game. But we're getting like people getting bludgeoned to death. We're getting
Right.
shrieking, crying.
No music. We're not getting just like standard music tracks, menu
Yeah.
music. We're not getting any of that. Yeah, random sound effects, punches, kicks, things there would be a lot of in the game. Yeah, a lot of footsteps. Immediately footsteps. That would be one of the most common assets for
You would
every
think,
single game
yeah.
to have. Hadn't heard that. Although I'm not gonna lie, if suddenly I start hearing footsteps out of nowhere, that's pretty creepy.
That'd be just as creepy.
Maybe
Yeah.
just as creepy.
Certainly.
Okay, and I mean honestly, if your game is just minimized and you're not doing anything, and you hear a speech from Teddy Roosevelt or whatever, I mean that's pretty creepy. It doesn't even matter what the content is. Just hearing that out of nowhere, that's what?
Yeah.
That's creepy. Okay, and we're almost out of time, but I've got to mention the Yummer saga. So I just showed this to my kids because they had to see it. Again, this kind of harkens back to one of those, what in the hell is this, and why is it in a kid's game? Because this is a SpongeBob Flash game, and we've got an image that was basically just uncovered by not even people looking for Easter eggs, not even people looking for things, just archivists looking for more images to add to their collection. And what did they find? I'm going to put the picture up right here. It's Yummer. Yeah, he's been named Yummer. That's what he's called. And there's Yummer 1 and 2, and his hands are 2, and it's, I mean, there it is.
What do you say?
I know there's been some interesting developments on this, so give us kind of the rundown on this one.
Yeah, so this has been quite a journey. This one, um, it's just I don't even know where to begin. It's been like a whirlwind, just the whole thing. Um, but I guess what was interesting, of course, we have this file in the game, and we have no clue why it's there. And we had the Yummer server dedicated to searching and trying to figure this thing out. They were very antsy about it, I will say. They were very much like, we need an answer now. And that's not typically how I like to work. You know, I like to like really take the time, try to get multiple sources.
Sure.
You know, sometimes talking to these developers, it can take months, which is why I won't update a mystery for, you know, well over, you know, it could take like 6 months for me to come back to a mystery. I did have, well, I was in very close relations with the owners of that server, and it was very overwhelming. You know, they had like thousands of people flooding in, thousands of impatient people, I should say. And so they were always, you know, coming to me, hoping that we could solve this together. And I did have somebody come forward to me, and they emailed me, and they said, I'm a developer of the game, and I know the answer to Yummer, and he's like, please don't make any more videos about this because we're on the line right now with Nickelodeon. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, why would you? Would Nickelodeon really fire you over that? You know?
Yeah, it's not a dead face Ryan. It's just a weird looking character. There's no blood, there's no gore, it's no nudity.
Yeah,
it's just an odd looking character.
There's been some much odder moments on SpongeBob from what I know.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, anybody who will go and watch some of your videos, this is not the first SpongeBob related incident.
Absolutely. So I even said to this guy, I was like, you know, can you give me like some more evidence that, you know, to validate this, because, you know, people get snubbed all the time with this. So this guy sent me like all kinds of photo evidence, you know, photos of him working in the office and them working on the game and all these kind of things. And he said he couldn't get to his computer to send me more because of COVID and, you know, COVID, everything going on with that, which seemed understandable. So, but he was like, please just don't talk about it. So like, you know, the motivation seemed just to get us to shut up about it. But then like a week later, he's like, okay, he's like, nobody's going to get fired over this. It's fine. So he's like, I'll just tell you that it was a piece of vent art. A guy was going through a divorce, and we allowed him to let his imagination go wild. And somehow one of these assets got left in the game, which seemed reasonable enough. And I shared that to the Yummer server, and they were like, you know, people are just going so crazy about this. They're going so ham. They're harassing us. Let's put this story out there. So we did. We put the story out there, perhaps a little too ahead of time, looking back in retrospect, but it definitely didn't seem like it could be refuted, and it didn't seem like this guy had any poor motivations. But as soon as we put that story out there, another guy reached out, and he said it wasn't vent art. He's like, I don't know what that guy's talking about. He's like, it wasn't vent art. He's like, I'm the creator of Yummer, and he's like, Yummer is a very positive thing. He's like, it's not a negative thing at all. So I was like, okay, well, can you validate yourself? And he's like, yeah, immediately. So he like immediately sent me an email from his company email, and he sent me his LinkedIn page with him logged in. He was able to show me that he was logged in and everything. And yeah, this guy was like a higher up at the company. Like, I guess I'm trying to think if I can say this, because he's one of the founders of the company. So
okay, so so if we can trust anybody, we can trust him.
We can trust this guy. And so he said, I don't know what that guy's talking about, saying it's vent art or whatever, but he was like, Yummer was one of the first things I ever created in Blender when I was first learning how to 3D model. And that's what he was saying. And he's like, that's why it has, you know, just the crazy look that it does. And he said, and I called it Yummer because you just look at it and it's so gross, so I thought yum.
It does look like an early Blender creation that
It definitely
right
does.
away, it does because it doesn't fit anything else in the game.
Not at all.
It makes sense that it was just something he's been used and just maybe does he just hide it in all of his games now? Is that kind of
Well,
his thing?
he said it's a company meme actually. So it's like something that they post around the office and they Photoshop it onto other employees and stuff. But it ended up being like a happy accident because he said that they saw my video when it went up, the whole company did, and they all mutually decided not to make a comment.
To keep the mystery going. I like that. I like
exactly.
that. Sure.
But then he said when we went public with the Ventart story, which we still don't know why that guy told us that, he said, "Okay, I'm going to come forward. I'm just going to tell him," because he's like, I don't want people to have the wrong idea of why this thing is there.
I can see his reasons because if I worked at that company and that was an inside joke, I'd want it to be just an inside joke. As soon as everybody knows about it, it's not as funny. So I can see that. Yeah. Well, that's cool that he came forward for a good reason. And to shut somebody else up who was just trying to be the guy who solved the mystery, so to speak. So
yeah. I mean, I don't think this is the case, but I almost think like, maybe I don't know why the first guy came forward at all. I don't know what his intention was because he kept begging us not to cover it more. So if he's trying to mislead us or something, I don't know why he would do that to get us to shut up. And then he said, "Okay, you can go ahead and you can tell people." I don't know what that guy's.
My guess would be, well, if I just came to you and said, "Here's the answer," you'd be very skeptical. But if before I said that, I said, "You got to stop talking about this. Please don't say anything about this," and then said, "Okay, well, you can talk about it. Here's the thing." I think that was probably his angle.
Sure, that's a good call.
That's the mind of the
weasel
right there.
He was thinking we'd get the real answer out of the company by putting that out there because that's exactly what ended up happening.
Yeah, maybe that was his plan. That's a genius move. If you're like, well, if the company's not going to say, if I raise my hand and say this, well, then they'll have to. So it forced their hand, so to speak.
And it turned out that photo evidence was totally manipulated, which was just crazy because it was so convincing. So it was just, this guy really went out of his way.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened there, but we got the actual answer confirmed 100% out of the whole thing. So I'm really happy about that.
There it is. Yummer solved. Oh, Randall, this has been fantastic. I wish we had more time because there are at least 9 more like specific clips and Easter eggs that I really want to talk to you about, but we just don't have the time. So maybe next season we'll have you come back and you can give us some updates on some of the things. I have a feeling that a year from now we may have some answers to some of these more unsolved things, or at least updates, and we'll have you back on and talk about that then. Does that sound okay?
I would love it. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks again for having me on.
Oh man, thank you for doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, Randall.
Can I just say real quick,
yes.
Happy birthday to my dad.
Oh,
because this is birthday weekend.
Oh, birthday weekend. I love it. All right. Yes. Oh, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Oddheader from YouTube, otherwise known as Randall Rigdon. Randall Rigdon. You've got the superhero alliteration name. I don't know if you knew. Like the Clark Kent, Peter Parker, Randall Rigdon is first thing.
That's true. I didn't realize that.
There you go. Yeah, Wade Wilson. So there you go. Superhero in the egg hunting community, Odd Hunter. Go check him out and subscribe on YouTube and watch some of these videos that we talked about, and you'll see a lot more than just the little still frames I got you. I know you guys are going to enjoy it. There is some of the creepiest stuff around. There we go. Randall, thanks so much again. We'll see you later. Stay safe.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Be back.
Oddheader from YouTube. That's right. Go over there to oddheader.com, or you can jump on youtube.com/oddheader and go check him out and find out all the weird and creepy stuff. And maybe if you're into the more raunchy stuff, well, you can check that out too. That's okay with me. So, well, guys, I've got a little bit of bad news. If you're a longtime viewer or even just a newcomer, you might have noticed that we used to do this show live. We'd stream it live, and it was always a train wreck, but it was a fun train wreck, and it was our train wreck. But since COVID-19, well, there's just too much stuff hitting YouTube on Sunday nights, and we're just not able to get it there to you guys. We had several kind of botched Skype interviews and things, and it's just not worth the risk, so we thought we'll move to an edited taped format. And while that was looking good, well, we've got one laptop. It's about 8 years old. Here's a picture of it. And it's just on its last leg, guys. It's just editing the pictures into that interview you saw took me over an hour. Just running as slow as possible, the kind of thing makes you want to pull your hair out. And guys, I don't have any hair left to pull out. So, barring some sort of miracle, we're going to have to say goodbye to Spooky Talk Show. I'm looking for the boo button. Where is it? There it is. I agree, but I'm just not sure what else to do. I love doing this show. I love talking to you guys, and I love bringing you cool guests. Yeah, it was about this whole week just to put this one show together. And as you can see, there's not a whole lot of flash or editing involved in this thing. Unfortunately, the blue screens of death have overtaken the show, and we're going to have to at least say goodbye for now. We'll say goodbye for now and not goodbye, because maybe we can, I don't know, dig up a bar of gold in the backyard. We'll get ourselves a new laptop, and we'll be right back with you. But I wouldn't hold my breath. But it's been a good run. We've had a lot of fun, and I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Just no matter what, even when we had storms and the connection wasn't great, we had sync issues, you guys were still with us, and I appreciate it. Don't think I don't. And I'm gonna go before I start tearing up. So that's it from all of us here at Spooky Talk Show. Stay spooky.